Hello everybody. Today I would just like to do a quick review of the Breviarium Romanum as it's published by Nova et Vetera. They published this themselves in the year, I believe, 2008, and it's a 2-volume set of the Roman Breviary as it was in use during John the 23rd, before the Breviary was revised into what's now called the Liturgy of the Hours. So the Liturgy of the Hours in use now goes through pretty much all of the Psalms in 4 weeks. The Roman Breviary used previously goes through all of the Psalms in the course of 1 week. And so, of course, this is accomplished by using more daytime hours and having, a larger selection of Psalms for morning prayer and evening prayer. And in what's now called the Office of Readings, but was then called the Office of Matins. And so the first thing is, what do you get when you order this? You'll get the 2 volumes, and you'll get some handouts. We might call them inserts. And then available is also a leather case. I'll get to that in just a second. So the first thing I would say is, if you're looking at this, you've probably been on their website. If you haven't been on their website, please do go check it out. They have a lot of screenshots. They have PDFs of what the inside looks like. They really put a lot of love into this product, and they want to share as much information as they can with you about it. And so I'd say if you have any questions, go over there. They'll pretty much all be answered. I hope to, in this video, just give you a little bit better idea of what the physical kind of book itself is like. So you have a thin kind of leather cover, the inside pages, and then the very first pages are a thicker paper with commonly used texts. And so you'll see the Te Deum, the hymn of St. Ambrose, as it's usually attested. You'll see the invitatory psalm, and then we have the invitatory antiphons for pretty much all the seasons. And then we'll have the Canticle of Zechariah for morning prayer, the Canticle of Mary for evening prayer, and then we'll have the seasonal antiphons of the Blessed Virgin Mary, which are said after night prayer. After these couple pages of thicker paper, it turns into what we would kind of know today as kind of Bible paper, the thin, very see-through paper. As you can see the words on the other side there bleed through. But this goes with each volume. So each volume will have kind of the preface by the bishop. This is the bishop of the area in Germany who kind of oversaw the publishing. Then we have, the bull by Pius V, Quod Nobis. This is the Divino Afflante Spiritu by Pius X, I believe. And then we have the kind of promulgating the new instructions by Pope John the 23rd. And then after all of those kind of official documents, it goes into the general instruction of the breviary itself. So, you start off with the liturgical ranking of the different days, the different seasons, what you should do in the office of Sunday compared to weekdays, the seasonal prayers, so on and so forth. Then we'll get into the calendar of the year. And then after that, we get into the breviary itself, starting with the proper of time. So wonderful artwork, wonderful typeface. I believe they designed the font themselves. So it's just a really nice, beautiful looking volume. You'll see, though, of course, that it is Latin only. There's 2 columns, but it's a continuation. It's not a Latin and English. They do save some space. So if we take a look at, for example, some of these responses, you'll see that we get to our verse. And then at the end, what they'll do is they'll kind of highlight the first letter in red, and then they'll just put the first word of the response, indicating that you start from that phrase and continue on. Likewise, we have et, for et. And then for the Gloria, they just put Gloria Patri. You fill in the blank, obviously, continue it. And then you'll see et again for that second half of the phrase there. I mean, there's a lot to go through, and so, they save space where they can. But the product is still quite nice, and they do have a good detailing of instructions within the text itself, so you don't necessarily have to keep flipping back to the ordinary, as we would call it. While we're flipping, let's take a look at the ribbons. They detail this on their website, that they're sewn in and they're high quality. I like to tie my ribbons off so that they don't fray too much. And then the second volume, same. Now, also second volume, you'll notice has the commonly used texts. And then we get into the breviary itself. We have the same kind of promulgating documents. The general instructions, again, for the breviary are in each volume. That's kind of nice, if you'd like to look over them or consult them for a feast day. And then again, you get into the parts of the year, the calendar, and then again, that takes you right into the breviary itself. The volumes are almost the same size. The first volume, which covers the seasons of Advent, Christmas, the weeks after Epiphany, and then Lent and the Easter season. The first volume covers all of that, so it's just a tad thicker. The second volume covers what we would call now ordinary time, but at that time was titled Weeks After Pentecost. So both of them are quite manageable. They sit well in the hand. It kind of just stays open. You don't see too much bleed through. The paper is a nice cream color. So the volumes are really nice. They're not stiff. They're not too fragile, I think. If you are worried about them, being damaged, like I said, we can take this cover over here. It's a full leather cover that they offer. You'll notice it's not a button or a zipper cover. It just has a tab. So the way that's, used, you take your volume, you slide it in all the way, and that tab will stick in there. Now you could choose to push those ribbons down. You could choose to let them hang out. I know some people, might take the ribbons and just kind of squish them in the cover like that, if they choose to do so. And you simply just pull that tab right there and pull the volume out. Now, for this volume, it's a little bit thicker, and so you need a little bit of a tug. The second volume's a little bit thinner, so you don't have to worry about that too much. But they're just very, very well made. You have the gilded edges as well, which with time would wear away, but present a nice product. And you'll have these cards as well. These are just 2 booklets to be used. Again, kind of repeating what was on the front pages. You'll notice the invitatory psalm, the Te Deum, and then if I were to open it up, we would have the Canticle of Zechariah, the Canticle of Mary, the antiphons to be said after night prayer for the Blessed Virgin Mary. And then we'll have some inserts here. So this first insert is just the psalms used on feast days for morning prayer, front and back, obviously. And then you'll see here we have the orations for the Sundays after Pentecost. And then here we have for the office of Matins, we have the responses, we might say the absolutions and the benedictions, the blessings, for Matins in the first, second, and third nocturnes, as well as for the different feast days. And so what's nice about this is pretty much everything you would use for the second volume, and you can slide it in there, and then you can just keep it with the second volume. You'll see here that it takes up the same space as the book itself. So it doesn't stick out, it doesn't kind of get in the way, it just hides nicely. You can use it as a bookmark for a page, keep it in the front cover. And the second one, we'll see, includes, again, the Psalms for the feasts of morning prayer. But then, because this is for the first volume, that includes the Advent season, it has the antiphons for the week leading up to Christmas. And then, again, as well, everything that's required for the Office of Matins for that season. And then, likewise, the back of the Christmas page has the antiphons for the octave of Easter. Again, Easter is in the first volume, so what's nice about this is you can stick all the inserts into that, and then you can stick this into the first volume again. Hardly see it, can't see it at all. And you're ready to go. So I think that's a very nice and considerate thing of them to do, so you're not, trying to keep track of the handouts or flipping back and forth repeatedly. You can just have one set with each volume. Obviously, one volume is on the shelf, the other volume's in your case, so you don't need multiple cases or anything like that. They're similar in size enough where the one case does accommodate both volumes. And so then final thing is that I don't have in front of me right now, but again, you'll notice on their website, so I would, again, highly recommend that you go to that and check it out. In the back, they have, the propers for the calendar, but on their website, they have inserts that are this size for proper feasts. And so, they have one for France, for Germany, for the United States, so on and so forth. If you are in the United States, the one feast you would probably be concerned most about would be the solemnity or the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, depending on where you are, how it's celebrated. And likewise, the North American martyrs or the Canadian martyrs, again, depending on where you're living, Isaac Jogues and his companions. And then finally, what I didn't touch on, but what I just remembered as I was talking to you, in the back, you'll find, again, just a kind of table of contents, we might call it, but it's an index. And then you'll find some of that thicker paper just as in the front, but this has prayers for before and then after praying the office. And then here, this is especially useful for priests who are using these volumes, are brief sacramental formula. So, you have baptism, administering viaticum for sacramental absolution, anointing of the sick, general absolution, the apostolic blessing. And those are kind of in a little bit of a larger font, a little bit easier to read at a glance than something like the smaller texts found in the Commons, right? So that's obviously used for priests. If you're a lay person, you can use the baptismal formula, but you wouldn't really have a need or use of the other ones. But I think that's kind of a good insert for them. It just takes up 2 pages. A detail for priests, if you're carrying this around with you and you need to use a sacramental formula in the heat of the moment, you can just kind of be sure of yourself, not going off your memory, right? Don't want to rely too much on that. You can just have it at your hand right there. So overall, I think they do a wonderful project. I would, again, I've sound like a broken record, but if you haven't, check out their website, because they love their product very much and they want to share it with the world. And if you've looked into getting this set of the Breviary, I hope this review was helpful. You have any questions, I hope I answered them. If not, leave them below and I'll try to respond. Other than that, I hope you all have a good day, and God bless you all.